Alright, the big red button's been pushed. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Natives in America podcast. This is Benjamin Wan, your host, and with me as always is Sky Antone, my co-host.
What's up? What's up?
There he is. I've been listening to our episodes. We've made it over 100 episodes now. Majority of them are over 2 hours, so 200 hours of listening. Your listening pleasure. And I kind of realized, on our logo and in our general speak, we don't really mention what tribe we're with. I guess I'm thinking about the majority of our listeners are from our tribe and they know us, and it's like, oh, they know. But I've been starting to think that maybe in the logo or something we should mention that we're Tohono O'odham. A tribe from southern Arizona, and there's a very big reservation that covers almost the entire southern Arizona state. And in the olden days, our tribe was all the way up, all the way to the side, all the way to the right, all the way down south into Mexico, and that's where we grew up. We grew up well. I met Sky in middle school, so he probably grew up somewhere else too. I think it was middle school, and this is part of our identity. This is part of our tribal land, and luckily for our tribe, or at least for the majority of our tribe, it's ancestral land too. It's not the place where we were moved. It's where we've been, and where we shall remain. So just for any new listeners or any listeners that have been wondering, or maybe they're from a different tribe or they're from a different place or different people, we're Tohono O'odham. And that's the tribe I'm claiming, the tribe Sky's claiming. We're natives in America. And sometimes I wonder if maybe we should be doing more native-themed subjects, but really my interest, and I believe Sky's is too, is huge. It doesn't just fall under one category of things we're interested in. We're just not interested in just the tribe or tribal issues. We're in this world, in America, on Earth, and there's a lot going on, and we try to throw down on that little tidbits, little ideas, little theories and guesses of what's going on around us. And I just wanted to put that out there because I just realized, this 4th season now, 100 episodes in, and I'm like, wow, maybe we should have some kind of identity moving forward with our logo, with our title, whatever. There's been no really establishment of all right, this is who we are and where we're coming from. So I want to start saying it now, and I probably start having some kind of intro. I mean, I do already, but a little more information for anybody who's newcomer. So there you go. All right. On that note, let's move on to the topic here. Tonight's topic, which I think is more of a people topic than a Tohono O'odham topic, but it's going to go into the tribe too. I got some tidbits there, but tonight's subject is toilet paper. And before you change your channel now or turn us off, I want to say that to me, toilet paper is something that is widely used across the world. Even in the poorest of countries, they're seeking some toilet paper. And even if it's not toilet paper, everybody's trying to wipe their ass. Let's just be straight up here. Everybody poops, as the book says, and this is a subject that not many people talk about because we do it behind closed doors. We do it in stalls. I think one funny thing that I always think to say out when I go into a public bathroom, when somebody's sitting down, they're probably taking a shit. They're trying to be real quiet. I always want to go hey, be as loud as you need to. Don't worry about me. It always seems to me when you're trying to take a nice private shit, people always just pop up and there's all up in there too. And then you try to take a quiet shit, it's just not possible. As the one day you had so many beans, and it's just you're squeaking away or like, you know, ripping all your abdominal muscles trying to keep it in. Like, just let loose, man. Don't worry. Be as loud as you want. I don't mind. I know what you're doing in there. And you don't gotta hide it. And again, toilet paper. You know, we don't really talk about it. Like one thing that kind of came back to me. Well, I'll get into what made me think of this as a subject. I say it all the time. Sky, the way we come up with our subjects, Sky will text me, "Hey, do you got any topics?" And it's usually whatever's bugging me, you know, whatever's on my mind. Or he'll come to me with a topic, something's been bugging him, and that's really how we go with this. It's pretty straightforward, pretty off the cuff, like, hey, like this is what we're going to do, and sometimes we like or dislike the subject, and then we agree or disagree to do the topic. And this one, I think Sky's giving me some leeway here and saying, let's just see where you're going with this. And so he's going to trust the process here, and I'm going to try to do my best to present this as professionally as possible. And so here we go. So I was already telling Sky before I even hit the big red button that I was at a friend's house. She was in the, I don't even know. All right, I was at a friend's house, and she had just gotten a brand new spot. And I went to go. I had to. What do they call it? I had to bless the house. You know, I had to break in the new equipment there. You know, test it out. Yeah, I had to test it out. You know, I had to go in there.
Durability.
Yeah. And I went in there. I sat down. It was go time. Did my business. Then it was time to clean up. And I look over, and she's got fucking 1-ply toilet paper. And I don't know about you guys, but I like at least a 2-ply, and I like some substantial toilet paper. And what she was rocking was some Scots. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, out of all the toilet papers, the Scots, the 1-ply, I don't know, on the res, you go to some true TO's house, they almost always got Scots hanging there in the bathroom. And I have a guess of what that comes from. But to me, it was like, in my mind, I had used the restroom at her parents' house, her mom's house, and they had the Scots, the 1-ply, and I was like, wow, this is like maybe like they're from Mexico, Mexicans. And I was like, wow, maybe they're just like TOs, like they got they're hooked on that Scots, because I figured when she got a new place, she'd, you know, get her own, whatever, you know, her own style, whatever she's got, and, you know, use something other than a single-ply toilet paper, and she didn't. She went with that, too. Now, maybe it was like, oh, I don't got any money for some toilet paper, I'm going to snag some of theirs, something. But in my mind, I was like, damn, like, she's hooked. She's just like her mom. This is her brand. And I was thinking too, like, I've thought it a million times when I'm on the res, when I'm using someone's restroom for the first time, and I look over and there it is, Scott's 1-ply toilet paper. And I don't know what it is. I got a theory that a long time ago when the tribe was getting like, what is it? I want to say commissary, but that's not the right word. Commodities.
Mm-hmm.
I think Scott's 1-ply toilet paper was part of that.
You think so?
I think so. I'm not sure, but I feel like the whole tribe at one point or another, like kind of almost passed down generationally, is the use of the Scott's 1-ply toilet paper. I don't know what it is. Like, whenever I go to like a grandma or an auntie's house or something like that, like, they got the 1-ply there. And I don't know if it's affordability or just what they're used to and it's what you go to, you know, their go-to.
More bang for your buck.
Yeah, maybe. But, you know, I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to household products, I don't skimp on my dish soap. I always get down the brand name. I don't skimp on paper towels, and I don't skimp on toilet paper. Like toilet paper, I like me some Charmin Ultra Strong. You know, like some good workable toilet paper, so I can put in some good wet work. You know. But I'm being real here. Like, what's the deal? What's the deal? A lawn. All right, I'll bring up another subject, but I'm kind of like curious if Sky's got anything to say. We're 10 minutes in here. What you got on the subject there, Sky? How do you feel about 1-ply versus 2-ply, or Scots in general?
I can't. I mean, I don't really know the brands that well as you do, I guess.
Apparently.
I mean,
you're not a toilet paper connoisseur.
No, so the Costco.
Kirkland.
I think it's Kirkland probably, but I just get the big Costco toilet paper.
Hell yeah.
That lasts for a while.
2-ply, big time.
But the Scotch thing, I don't know. Man, you stick with what you know. If that's the case.
I really think that's what it is.
But
on the res, I see it all the time.
I'm just like, it's not like tissue paper. It's like, oh, we'll try it out and see if you like it. You know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess in harder times, I mean, and being poor, and I just remember being poor and living in town, and maybe getting toilet paper like at a 99-cent store or somewhere where not the name brands are there.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can get like one roll at a time.
The ply, it's really thin, really small, but I mean, I guess I'm living that good life, that Costco life. Because, I mean, when you brought it up, I guess a timeline of my time in there, in that dungeon.
The other dungeon.
Taking care of my business, you know?
Yeah.
So I laughed about it when you said it, but then I really started to think, like, well, what is this guy thinking? You know,
why is toilet paper going to be our subject on the Native in America podcast?
So, but, like, I guess I never looked at the toilet paper and be like, oh, this is this brand, this is that brand. I think for me, it's more like I'd rather tissue be there than it not be there.
Yes, sir.
I think that's the...
Damn right.
I think that's the real argument, or the real situation is not having it.
Yeah. Try to take a shit without toilet paper. You know? I have.
So, I mean, it's almost just a whole nother elaborate discussion on the... Well, I remember when the commercials... Toilet paper commercials are funny, you know?
Fuck yeah.
But there's this... Or maybe it was just... I'm thinking of tissue or, like, Kleenex, but I'm pretty sure it was toilet paper, too, where they were, like... There was a cartoon drawing of the toilet paper, but it was like it looked like they were putting lotion inside it.
Yeah.
So it was almost like a quilt rather than a paper.
Mm-hmm. Wipe your ass on grandma's quilt.
So I mean, I just was like, I remember seeing that commercial and being like, oh, That's some fancy paper. Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think I'm always paying attention to whether it's there or not there. But there has been times, I guess that's maybe not the best of things to share, but like times when you get there and don't realize it's not there, and then go too far.
There's no turning back now.
What you need?
Your ass knows you're in a bathroom and it's go time.
To leave the situation comfortable, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's where you wanted us to go, but yeah, that's kind of...
We're there, Sky. We're going there.
Yeah. Well, then I think of the Seinfeld episode with the lane. And
just 2 squares. Just 2 squares.
I can't spare a square.
I can't I can't spare a square. Who can't spare a square?
That's what I thought of when you're talking about, like, being in a stall next to somebody and having a conversation or encouraging them, consoling them or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, motivating them. Celebrating them. I don't know. It's like, I guess you can have any kind of attitude if you're, you know, in a stall next to somebody. But it was always like not so much the value, but just like I'm trying to do this in the most discreet way, but I almost have no control of how loud it's going to get.
Trying to take the perfectly silent shit is impossible. I'm sorry. Yeah. I got a little side story here. One time I was, it was when I was working for one of the big hardware stores, and I think the time we were doing like a big crew. I usually worked overnight, and we had a big crew where we were kind of all taking our breaks at the same time. And you kind of use the bathroom throughout the day, you know, right before your shift, you know, maybe on your first break, maybe on your, you know, after your lunch break or whatever. And one time, I went in the bathroom, and like when you go that out, like use the bathroom that often, you kind of realize which stalls do and don't have toilet paper and all that. You know, you kind of realize, oh, this one's clean, that one's not. Like I'm not going in there or whatever. And I remember one day I went in there. And there was a whole bunch of us in there. It was the men's bathroom, and there was a bunch of, like, there was dudes at the stall, there was a couple in the stall, there was dudes at the urinal stalls, and then there was, like, a couple dudes in the bathroom stalls. There was a lot of us in there. And you could hear the dudes at the urinals talking, like, you know, just yucking it up. They're just like, oh, yeah, like, they're cracking jokes, and they're like, oh, yeah, like, hey, watch out for that. I hope you guys aren't in that one stall's got no toilet paper, and they're just like, oh yeah, you know, joking and whatnot. And then at some point when there was a long pause, I was like, you know what, you guys are real loud, yucking it up and all that, and I'm in here trying to wipe my ass with a fucking seat cover. Like, this is bullshit. And they all fucking busted out laughing because they knew like there wasn't anything else in there. I used what I had. There was a fucking, you know, those sanitary toilet covers that don't ever stay on the fucking seat, you know? Yeah. I was wiping my ass with that. I was like, God damn it, like, you motherfuckers. And like, they all busted out laughing. There's like good 50 people were just like, ah. I was like, well, you guys are all joking. I'm in here wiping my ass with a toilet seat cover. And they all just busted out. That was pretty good. But yeah, you brought up a good point. You know, what happens when you don't have some? As a kid, I spent a lot of hours in the wash back in the day. A lot of hours just playing in there, whether it was rain or shine. You know, I was in the wash, running around. You know, me time. And there's been at least one. I remember one distinct time where you know, nature called, and I'm up there in the desert, like far away from the house where I just knew I wasn't gonna make it. And it came time to go. I just had to lean up against a tree, and I looked around, I scrounged around, and all I found were I tried to find the smoothest rocks that I could find. And I'm telling you, I would have taken some Scots right there if I had some Scots, because the rock seems smooth, but once you put it in your your special place, or as I've been seeing this recent guy on TikTok call it his shame cave. When you're putting a fucking smooth period rock in there and it's giving off all this sand in there and you're scraping the fuck out of your ass, I would have definitely wanted some one ply Scots right there. Would have preferred it. But yeah, it makes a difference. And I got another tidbit that my dad told me. He told me when he was in Vietnam, and they would get like not I don't know if it's called a ditty bag, but they get like care packages of like, you know, stuff from home, or no, it was like standard issue. So every day they get like a packet with some salsa. I think it was like Tabasco, maybe a Hershey's bar, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and like you know, some necessary items. And he said they used to get toilet paper that was the size of like a zigzag, and that's all they got, like a little tiny rectangle of toilet paper. And he said all the time in the war, they had shitty fingers, as the way he put it. They always smelled, and he said he remembers trying to take that little rolling paper sized paper to wipe his ass with, and he said he would always be rubbing his fingers in the sand afterwards, like it's on me. It's on me, like but that's what they had. That's what they got. Standard issue toilet paper the size of a zigzag. And again, I'll say this for him, I bet he would have loved to have some Scots one ply at that point. So I'm not knocking Scots one ply. I'm just saying, if I have a choice, I'd rather not have that, you know? But, you know, you never know what kind of situation it is. Like you said, and for my dad, it was the size of a rolling paper, and it was not enough. I think he was even saying that because they were in the jungle, too, that a lot of them were getting sick, too. Oh, I'm vibrating, going up. Whoa. And, so yeah, you know, beggars can't be choosers, but he said a lot of people would have their runs, and to try to use that one rolling paper-sized piece of paper was awful. It was pretty bad. Pretty bad in the jungle. You know, you got that jungle sweat going on, too, the jungle soup. And one rolling paper is just not enough. So he said everybody had shitty hands, and they all kind of smelled, you know, like they weren't so clean, weren't so fresh, weren't feeling so fresh. And he said that was just a common thing. Couldn't get around it. You know, maybe you could make some deals like prison style, and you know, stack up a stack of rolling paper sized toilet papers, you know. But that's one thing he had to deal with. And I'll tell you what, that'll make your whole outlook on life that much worse if you're not feeling so fresh. Another reason I don't skimp on the toilet paper. Now, I'm actually feeling more uncomfortable than I thought it would be talking about toilet paper, but that's kind of a funny thing to bring up too, is that behind closed doors, you know, everybody does it. Everybody uses it. Everybody knows. Look around the room. Everybody uses toilet paper. Everybody poops, as the book says, the childhood book. You got to teach them early. That's another thing. Going back to the days, teaching my son trying to get him out of diapers. Like I was his wiper. I remember he used to say, "Dad, wipe my butt." You know, Dad, I'm done. And you're just like, oh God, now I got to go and help my son in the bathroom, and I was just wishing for the days, just hoping and looking forward to one day not having to wipe my son's ass for him. Like you got this, son. And that's the funny thing. You're growing up very early, and one day you got to face the music and join the team of Team TP. So we're trained at a very young age to use this stuff. I also think it's kind of funny that it hasn't really advanced at all. You know what I mean? There's the jumbo roll, there's the 3-ply, but we haven't really come up with anything new to keep ourselves clean. Maybe a bidet, but just the fact that it's French kind of makes me think it's kind of old. That's an old concept too.
Yeah. Well, remember when there was a shortage?
Oh yeah. Well, that's what kind of kicked off the idea too.
But people were switching to bidets. There was a kit to turn your bathroom, or to be able to add that to your
bug out bag, right?
Your setup, yeah. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a more older method than the toilet paper.
What?
A bidet.
Oh, a bidet. I see. Yeah.
A bidet, or whatever, however you call it. I don't know. Because we're in America, and I don't know if every other country can even talk about different name brands. I remember you see a lot of these videos on TikTok where they're talking about toilet paper or
what?
Well, I think when the shortage, there's people talking about. I remember one guy was talking about what he did for his business. I guess he made a little circle around the ply, and then it was talking about your dad. What you're saying about your dad, my hands was just he made the toilet paper was you're sticking your finger in that little hole and then sticking that in your butt and cleaning yourself. But the little circle that you cut out of the toilet paper was used to clean underneath your nails.
What?
This was a TikTok that he was saying. I can't remember what the guy was saying. He learned that, but this other video, this guy was talking about baby wipes. And I guess
yeah.
people were laughing at him because he was using baby wipes. But he said in Mexico, or certain parts of Mexico, there's either using the bidets or they're not using toilet paper, or it's a different.
Huh.
I don't know, but he was just kind of saying
interesting.
You guys are all dirty in America, but I don't know. It just made me think because it was maybe there is a cleaner, healthier method. Not bad, but just
dude.
In this, however we view ourselves, I guess what's wrong with being a little stinky, but then I don't know. There's so many, I guess, classes in the world to where there's appearances and your smell, I guess. I don't know. We're talking about all these different things, but yeah, I guess how we clean our ass is there no wrong way, or I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but it's
you're getting somewhere with it. I can feel it. I can hear it. I can feel it between the cheeks.
I mean, you keep saying, like, we all poop, we all gotta clean their ass, but, like, maybe the toilet paper is not as superior as
maybe not. Maybe not, bro.
But
all right, I got some more tidbits here. First of all, I gotta ask, have you ever used a bidet?
No, but I'm not against it either.
So I've never seen in person a real bidet like that's built out of porcelain, like a toilet sitting next to a toilet. One's for shitting, one's for washing your ass.
Yeah.
So, but I knew about it from what is it? Crocodile Dundee. This is the first one, and she brings him to America from Australia, and he's like, "What the hell's up with this thing?" And he turns it on, it's like spraying like a big arch and all that, and he's like, "What the fuck?" It's like, "What is this?" And then he finally figures it out. It's for washing your backside, right? And the chick gives him a thumbs up. I owned a bidet for a short while. I think it was my last apartment, and they didn't have it, but I found out from my cousin that you could order one on Amazon. About $30, I think is how much he spent, maybe 25, and it just hooked onto the regular hoses on the back of the toilet. Like they have the water lines that fill up the back of the bowl.
Yeah, yeah.
And then in the middle of that, you just add a line, and then you could have like it's almost like a toilet seat lid. But I think it either goes under or over the regular toilet seat. And then it has like a I swear it was like a cannon, because the thing could burn a hole right through you. And it was almost like they had like a laser sight on it, because it shot you right in the bullseye. And if you weren't careful, if you like cranked that thing up, like it had full pressure. Like, you know, you hear how powerful the water is flowing into the back of your toilet, and it's like filling it up very quickly. That's the kind of pressure it has, and instead the friggin' bidet has like a little nozzle that drops down and fires at you, and it's like, whoa. Bullseye. Right in the nose. You got it. You got me, Johnny.
Yeah.
And I'm saying sometimes that painful spray, like right on the eye, like on a hot day. Oh, I just remembered I gotta write a note here. Oh, you brought up wipes. You know, on a bad day where, you know, maybe you had a little too much salsa or whatever, or maybe you ate something that sat out a little too long, and you're just on the toilet all day. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I'm not the only one. But, you know, maybe you've wiped one too many times, gone too many visits to the bathroom, and now you're, like, got a scorcher going on here where it just, you don't even want to wipe. It hurts, you know, it hurts to wipe. And I appreciated that bidet on those days. Like, just a nice, brisk shot on the bullseye there. And I appreciated that. But one thing that came up, and my cousin realized it first, and then he recommended I get a bidet. But then he warned me. He was like, I asked him after the first couple of times I used it, I was like, don't you, how the hell do you dry out? Like, there's no blower, you know, I'm not going to stick a blow dryer in my ass. Like, what's the deal? I just shot my ass with a cannon and I'm soaked now. Now what? And he's like, yeah, well, you got to kind of have an ass rag. And I'm like, what the fuck? The fuck is that? And he's like, we each kind of have our own rag, and we towel off after each use. And he's always like, you know, you would think I'd be like basically using a towel like a toilet paper, but like it leaves you cleaner than you thought possible. And I think about that time I stopped using the bidet. I was like, I'm gonna keep an ass rag around my toilet that's supposed to just be for me. And in my mind, I don't care how clean you've just been spray shot with a fucking high pressure washer. I just don't feel like that's all that sanitary. to have this ass towel hanging around in the bathroom. But yeah, I guess that's how they got around it. I don't even know if they still use it, but like I stopped about that time, and I went back to Old Faithful, my solid, strong, extra strong 2-ply, and I stuck with that. But yeah, there was a short while where I owned a bidet.
Wow.
I can admit it.
So fancy.
I know. I felt like holding my pinkies up every time I got shot in the brown eye, and I'm like, damn.
Oh, I mean, but that's good information to know.
Yeah, when you purchase your next bidet, people, get yourself some nice ass towels while you're at it, to towel off after you've been accosted by the jet stream of your bidet.
What was going through your mind when the world was like went crazy over toilet paper? Like,
well, that's
was it around this time? Or it was a while ago.
Yeah, because it all kicked off when I started working at the last hardware store I worked at, and before that I was working with my cousin as a landscaper, and that's about the time he was telling me about that. And this is actually part of the tidbit that I wanted to bring up next too. Was while I was working at this hardware store, the big hardware store. That blew my mind. Like we had a lot of the typical items when the pandemic started kicking off, and if this is holding up as long as I'm hoping it will, I'm talking about the COVID-19 outbreak, and my store held all the typical stuff you thought would sell. So we had masks, we had the N95s, we had gloves, we had masks, we had sanitizers. And of course, when all this went off, of course, we got extra shipments and we had all this extra stuff. And people were buying the fuck out of it. Like, money was changing hands. People were scared and panicked, and they were buying it up. And I remember one day, a customer approached me and said, "Hey, you guys are out of toilet paper. Can you add some more?" And I remember thinking, I just watched them put a whole pallet down. How the hell is this possible? And I went and looked, and I saw the sanitizer go off the shelves. I saw the masks fly off the shelves. People were buying up whatever they could, terrified of getting sick and dying, horrible deaths that everybody was being told was going on. And the surprising thing for me, whoops, hold on, my mic's freaking out. Well, I don't know what did that. I don't even know if you can hear it, but I could hear it. So yeah, I saw the typical stuff flying off the shelf, and then one day a customer's like, "Hey, where's your guys' toilet paper?" I'm like, I'll walk you over there. And I looked, and we were wiped out. Again, no pun intended. Wiped. But yeah, it was cleared off, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, what? It was a surprise item that I had no clue would become precious or rare to find.
Mm-hmm.
It got so bad at one point. I remember as we were receiving pallets, people were waiting for it. Like we'd receive a truck and it will be checked in, so I think it adjusted our on-hand counts, and then so we'd receive a shipment. And people would already be waiting for it. They'd see online that we had them now, whatever our on-hand count was, and they'd be waiting for it. They'd even be pissed off, like, "Why isn't it on the floor? It says you have it." And I'm like, "We received it while the store's open, but it doesn't go out on the shelves until the store closes, and we have time to put it out, overnight." And people would be pissed off, like so mad, and they're like, "We'll put it out." I was like, "Oh, we're gonna do our best. Thank you. See you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow." And what blew my mind after that, like once the toilet paper went off all the shelves, the paper towels were next. So people just went from wiping their ass with toilet paper and then went straight to paper towels. Which makes, it makes perfect sense. It's like, cool, you select the size and all that, but like, it was a surprise for me. I think this was my first, in all my years, a lot, on this planet, first pandemic I've been a part of. First real panic.
Yeah.
I think the only other time I was involved in something like that was back in the day when our tribe was warned that a hurricane was going to hit the Pacific coast and could carry over. I think it might have either been coming up along Mexico and was going to hit, like the southern coast or whatever.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. I was gonna say it wasn't that long ago, but I was living on the res, and it was a while ago, like maybe 15 years or something. Like it was, but they warned us. They're like, hey, prepare yourself for flooding, flash floods, inclement weather. Like, be ready for gale force winds. And the tribe panicked. They tore up freaking Bashes, like the only shopping center in town. They cleared the shelves of water, apparently toilet paper, which I didn't really take note of. All the meat, all the food, all the eggs, all the canned food. Like, the store got destroyed. And it was all in anticipation. I think they were even giving out sandbags. So, like, that was my first taste of a panic. But this time I was older. I was making my own money, I was living in my own place, and I needed to buy my own supplies, and I was seeing firsthand, as a seller, seeing how the people reacted. And that blew my mind that toilet paper became one of those things, like one of those ultimate must-have items.
Yeah.
And that blew my freaking mind. I had no idea that there'd be a bum rush on that. Like, yeah, the masks, yeah, the sanitizer, like all the cleaning products, the bleach, even vinegar. Like they were clearing us out to the point where we would get it and it would fly off the shelves. It even got to the point where they were limiting how many you could buy. I think in the earlier days somebody even came in and just bought a pallet of toilet paper. They were like, we're not going to fuck around. If we can buy it, we're going to get it. And they bought the entire pallet, and I think it was like 36 huge packages of toilet paper. And they're like, oh, I'm going to buy it and maybe distribute some amongst my friends in the neighborhood. And I was just like, and it blew my mind, just like, wow, how quickly an everyday item became, as good as gold or as good as water. Water was another one of those things. Like, it flew. People didn't want to drink from the tap. People were afraid. People were scared. And it blew my mind that the toilet paper became one of those things. It didn't occur to me that, that's just how important people saw it. And it was people in general. Everybody was trying to get it. I remember even, like, jumping stores trying to get our own.
Yeah?
Like, where can we find it? Oh, God. And there was a little bit of a panic going on. Like, where are we going to get ours? And I got another tidbit here. I think it was my second apartment I ever got. I had one of my buddies come and live with me for a while. And, I always told him, like, all right, well, you help by cleaning the house, and I'll make sure you have a place to stay. Like, you carry your own weight. I'm not gonna have you just living on my couch. You gotta do shit. And I remember he had a habit of blowing his nose in a big wad of toilet paper. Like, he'd take it, wrap his whole hand in it, like this big bunch of toilet paper, blow his nose once in it, and then throw it in the trash. And that shit would piss me off so bad. Like, I had to get on his ass. I was like, motherfucker, like, you're not buying toilet paper. I'm the only one buying toilet paper in this motherfucker. You need to blow your nose in your hands. I don't want you using my toilet paper. Like, and again, like I said, I don't skimp, so it was the good stuff. I'm like, no, you're not doing that. And that, that shit, that revealed something about myself there. I was like, wow, I hold my toilet paper in high regard, like,
Yeah.
Like, you best not be blowing your nose in my fucking expensive ass toilet paper. Fuck no. You know? But it took that to make me realize that I had that preference. Like, you can blow your nose in your hands and wash them as many times as you want. You can't bring toilet paper back. You're not going to reuse it. And especially the way he was doing it. He'd get whole big wads and he'd blow his nose in it one time and just throw it in the trash. Ah, that pissed me off so bad. I was like, motherfucker, you're not putting into this shit. You either need to start buying your own or start blowing your nose in your hands. I'm not going to have you wasting my toilet paper. Because I started noticing, because he was around, the roll would go way, way quicker. And I started noticing in the trash right there that there was whole giant wads just in there, all mashed up. And I was just like, motherfucker, I knew it. And that's the thing, that's his way of seeing toilet paper was it was an everyday item. It always appeared. He didn't have to buy it, and he could just waste it like that, like just one good nose blow and throw it in the trash. And I saw it. I was sitting there like, man, that's a good 4 or 5 visits to the bathroom right there, and you're doing it in one swoop. And I didn't even realize that about myself, but I was like, whoa, I got a problem here.
I think I wouldn't say it's the problem. I think, like, this whole time you've been talking about, like, I guess putting in that extra amount of funds for the 2-ply and the, you know, the nice artwork on the toilet paper. But, like, it's that, yeah, it's value, but it's just kind of like, yeah, well, I don't know, like, it's money. It's kind of what makes the world go around, you know, like, we're talking about these states of where it's coming down to the end, and at least I gotta have that toilet paper, you know. Kind of, I guess, we call essential, or this way of being. All this toilet talk kind of got me thinking too of you know, my great grandma when she lived in Cells. She had an outhouse.
Yeah.
Well, I think they had a few outhouses, but we used the outhouse when we went to her house.
Yeah.
And that was a whole different experience from, I guess, what we have now, or what I have now, as far as, like, I don't want to say fancy, because, like, I don't know, it's just like, I guess where you go to the bathroom doesn't need to be fancy, but yet, why not? If you have it, if you have the funds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm tripping on how, as humans, we get very elaborate with things that maybe don't always need to be so elaborate, but we jazz it up with technology and um, fancy commercials and
Yeah.
whatever, whatever they can to sell us whatever they're freaking selling. And apparently toilet paper is highly needed, but also kind of hidden in how we go about it.
Yeah. I got a good example of that too. Is when you get your giant pack at Costco, do you ever kind of feel like people are looking at you like, damn, that guy shits a lot?
Oh man!
Like, hey, this isn't all just for me. Like, hey, don't look at me like that. You ever feel some way like that when you got a giant pack of toilet paper in your car?
You just reminded me of another moment, and I won't say his name, but he's a mutual friend of ours. And this is during my courtesy clerk days at Batches. So I was back. You see that was interesting too, because there's other items that fall under toilet paper that's sort of like, you're trying to be discreet, but you're also buying it in public. So, homie was buying toilet paper, and he bought the 40 pack, and it was, no grocery bags. There wasn't a grocery bag to put. That was a big pack of toilet paper.
Oh, yeah.
And it was there was no bag to put on that. Because he knew me, and he was like, come on, man, give me a bag. He was put it in a bag. I'm not walking out of here with the big bag of toilet paper. And that's what made me feel, I'm like, we don't have bags that big.
We can't do it, man. We can't do it.
You're here buying this. We all need it. It's not. That's don't be ashamed. You got nothing to be ashamed of. Walk out with confidence.
Let me tell you about this book. Everybody poops. All right?
He was all pissed. He just grabbed that big. I'm pretty sure it was Charmin, but it was big, and that was the only thing he bought. And we'll put it in the car,
As he's walking out, hey man, enjoy your giant bag of toilet paper. Shut up, man, shut up. Everybody's looking.
You're Smokey over here taking your shit.
It's like, you sell it. Hey, I ain't gonna tell nobody else. Yeah. Jesus.
And he grabs that, does he grab the mail or a magazine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, are we going there where, if not toilet paper, then what?
Well, I got one more tidbit before we go there. Another thing I noticed at the big store, and we were using the public bathroom. It wasn't like a worker's bathroom. It was we were using. The store would be shut down. We'd come in overnight, one by one, come inside, and then we'd have free reign of the store, but we'd be using the same bathroom as public. And I got in cool with one of the guys that was there, and he was like an older dude, and his job was to clean. He was a janitor there, a master of the custodial arts. And I over time, using the bathroom, working there, all that, I started noticing that a lot, not just every now and then, but a lot, there'd be toilet paper thrown in the corner of the bathroom stall, of the toilet stall. A lot. And it'd be used. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? You nasty motherfuckers, what is this shit? And I asked the guy, I was like, what's up with that? I'm sorry you have to deal with all that. Like, what's that all about? Like, what's going on here? You have any theories? Like, why? I saw it in almost every stall. There'd be wads of toilet paper thrown in the corner. And he told me that in some parts of Mexico, he said they're probably Mexican patrons. I'm like, why? Why? What's different about them? And he said that in some parts of Mexico, the plumbing is so bad, you're not allowed to flush your toilet paper. So usually what they have is like a trash can in the stall, and they throw their toilet paper in there. But since we didn't have trash bags there in the corner, they would just throw it on the ground. Because they were so used to just throwing it in the trash, not putting it in the toilet. Because the plumbing was so bad or weak or whatever, like it couldn't handle having shit and toilet paper. So we have people here that were from Mexico or just places where they got bad plumbing, and they'd be wiping and then throwing their toilet paper in the corner. Because they were so used to doing that. It was ingrained in them. And that blew my mind. It was like a, I'm always looking for a learning experience, and even when it involves toilet paper and bathroom etiquette, I guess. And I always wondered, like, oh, these nasty motherfuckers, but really it wasn't. It was what they were used to. A different kind of habit that made no sense to me until it was explained, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. Maybe if you don't want to be picking up a bunch of shit, maybe we should be throwing some trash cans in there for our patrons here. I mean, I don't think he ever did, but I thought that was an interesting tidbit. There'd be shitty little wads of toilet paper in the corner. And I just didn't understand. I'm like, what the hell is this about? Why would you do that? And I just thought it was like kids messing around, Somebody, got it on their hand and they threw it off their hand, like whatever, like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Pretty shitty fact. Okay. So another thing, you brought up wipes. And I think it was my sister brought it up. She said she was hanging out with some Mexican friends, and they were keeping packages of wipes either in the fridge or in the freezer. Or I think they were like, oh, I'm probably gonna use the restroom soon, and they put the wipes in the freezer. And I asked her, like, what's that about? She asked. And I got, Taco Tuesday is a real thing, or they eat tacos pretty regular. And every now and then you get the shits, and same situation I said, where you've used the restroom so many times it starts to hurt, that they would have ice cold chilled wipes available to them for those kind of days after Taco Tuesday or whatever. Yeah, and it blew my mind. I was like, wow, these people are teaching me left and right. They've kicked up this whole wiping game up a notch. Like, damn, that's impressive. And I thought, like, how nice would that be to have a nice, chilly, cool, moist, wet wipe after, a rough day.
A rough one?
a rough couple of visits, and suddenly all you need is your freezer wipes.
You ever had food poisoning?
Yeah, absolutely. You gonna talk about it?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I guess I'm kind of related to, because that's what I'm thinking of when I have food poisoning, and
yeah.
So
couldn't you spend more?
Some cold baby wipes might have been helpful.
Yeah.
At that moment, but yeah, I got food poisoning at this one event when I used to work, like doing college fairs and stuff, or it was like a district day.
Yeah.
It was an event where, you know, they're feeding and go make a plate.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was a potato salad, but my friend who went with me, coworker, they ate the same thing. They didn't get sick, so then I was like, man, maybe my shit's weak. My stomach is just like I can't handle.
Yeah.
I think about that too sometimes, where you know, maybe my stomach just is not as durable as other people. So like certain things I eat is like,
yeah,
I can't handle. But like, man, I was like sick. Like, I wasn't throwing up. Like, I had no food in me because they let it all out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it just, my body just kept feeling like it needed to go.
Yeah. I got nothing left.
Yeah, I was depleted, you know. I was negatives, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, that was not a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, it was supposed to be a good time. I guess that's my question connected to what we were talking about before. Because, like, I guess if 2-ply toilet paper was never created, you would never know the difference, right?
Yeah, I guess not. I got another tidbit here. It kind of goes along with that. So this was a long time ago, but the conversation has always stuck in my head, and it was about technique. So put on your thinking caps, listeners here, and please just play along with me here. We're already talking about toilet paper and wiping our asses, all right? So we're going all the way here. To kind of put it into reference, like how long ago this conversation happened, I heard it at a Sam Goodies. So I was walking around a Sam Goodies shopping for, and I think it might have even been for cassette tapes. I think it was CDs, but they still had cassette tapes on the shelf. So like, think about how long ago that might have been.
Oh yeah, Sam Goodies is old.
Yeah, and I was eavesdropping on this older guy, so I was like probably a young teenager, and these guys, they're talking and they're going back and forth, and this guy's like, oh yeah, you know, there's several kinds of people, you know, there's people who he mentioned the 1-ply, the 2-ply, the 3-ply, and but then he went into technique, and he said, oh, you know, there's people that wrap their hand and wipe. There's people that, you know, make a wad, they just crush it all up and then pound it in their ass, like just press it up against their ass. And then there's people that fold it. And like, I remember overhearing this, and I really wanted to jump in on the conversation because I'm going to reveal this about myself. I'm a folder. I fold my toilet paper. So I'm sorry for anybody who's thinking about me in this light now, like you see me sitting on my toilet folding toilet paper. I'm sorry, but this is just a subject I wanted to talk about. But yeah, these guys, and I remember hearing the guy, like, right at the end of the conversation, he's like, oh yeah, I'm a rapper, man. I ain't getting no poo on my hands. That's how he said it. He's like, I ain't getting no poo on my hands. And that was his idea. Like, this is how he wipes. He wraps his hand. And the whole point of him wrapping his hand is he doesn't want crap on his hands. And I guarantee you he still gets it on his hands. But that was his happy statement. He had to yell it out to his friend and to everybody else who might have been listening, which included me. I said, yeah, I ain't getting no poo on my hands. And me, I say this all the time. I'm a scientist. I got like this whole logic going for me and all that. I fold it, and it's about ply. And it was for the same reason. I don't want poop on my hands, but it's like every time you fold it, you're doubling the ply. In my mind, that's my logic. So you can take 1 2-ply, fold it in half. Now you got a 4-ply, and so on and so forth. Do with that information what you will. But it made me think about that. Like, there's people who don't wipe. You know, there was this comedian. I can't remember who it was, but he was talking about his kids. I think it might have been D.L. Hughley. On I think it was on the Kings of Comedy. They were doing the tour of Cedric the Entertainer, Bernie Mac, D.L. Hughley, and fucking Family Feud. What's his name?
Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey. I never remember his damn name. But yeah, D.L. Hughley was talking about his son. And the quote was his son would come around and he said, "My son doesn't wipe." And he's like, "Sometimes my son will be scratching his ass," and he goes, "How come?" And I quote this with my sister all the time because we always like that line. But he's like, "How come my booty itch?" And D.L. Hughley like, "Because it's chock full of shit, son. You don't wipe. You need to learn to wipe. Like, you got to be clean." You know, that was the whole thing. Like, you gotta wipe to be clean, so you don't have an itchy butthole and so on and so forth. I'm sorry. I'm kind of blushing just talking about this going out on the airwaves, and you're hearing it from me. Cause it's chock full of shit, son. Like that's one thing me and my sister always say to each other. We just kind of yell, because it's chock full of shit. So like, how come my booty itch? Because it's chock full of shit, son. And the other day I got to say that to my son. I'm sorry, son, that I'm putting you on blast here, but we were at a restaurant and we had just eaten. And he's like, "Dad, I gotta use the restroom." And in a public restaurant, I'll go with him. I went, and they only had the one room, so I went in there with him and just kind of tried to turn my back, give him a little privacy. But when it was towards the end, I got ready, like, "Oh, all right, now it's time to get up, wash your hands." I saw him just stand up, and I thought about that, right? I was like, "What the hell are you doing, son?" Like, "No, you need to wait." He's like, No. He's like, "No. And I'm like, "Son, this is how you get skid marks. Stop it. Your ass is chock full of shit. You're gonna itch. Like, this is how it starts." I was trying to guide him the right way, but that's what he did. He just stood up, and I was like, "Motherfucker. I'm the one I'm doing your laundry. Your mom's doing your laundry. Do us a favor and wipe, son, please. Do it for yourself, so you're not scratching your ass all day long and getting the smelly fingers. All right, just do this for me, son, please." And for any of you people out there that just jump right up after using the toilet, please wipe. Please use the toilet paper. Let's be a clean society, you know? Let's not walk around with shit on our hands and just touching everything. It makes me think also, too, of ice dispensers. I've worked in a few restaurants, and they got ice machines. And I learned from health inspectors, it might have been from Bob's Burgers, but you know, that guy, Ron? Yeah. Or whatever it was, is like his wife's ex-fiance. He mentioned there's an acceptable amount, according to the food and health inspector, there's an acceptable amount of human feces that's allowed in the ice machine.
I think I heard something like that.
Yeah, let that sink in. You know, at the restaurant, they always had a sign, "All our employees must wash their hands before returning to work." Let that sink in, people. Let's be clean here, all right? I think that's the difference I think that's civilization right there. I think about this all the time, too, is we're always talking about when the shit hits the fan. Again, yes, we're talking about shit, but, when the shit hits the fan, and I'm not talking about our feces, I'm talking about when everything goes south, if there's a war, if there's a pandemic, if, when society breaks down, sanitation is a huge part that, we kind of take for granted. Every time I come home from work, I'm covered in sweat. I hop in the shower and rinse off real quick. Somebody in another country doesn't have that luxury. There's people out there that don't know that luxury is something we overlook. I think one thing that was covered pretty well in the movie Contagion, I think it was called, was after so many people were dying, even the garbage men weren't picking up the trash, so the streets were lined with trash bags. And it just piled up. So everywhere, and then there was bodies everywhere. And it's like, in a normal, quote-unquote, civilized society, these things are taken care of without us even thinking about it, Not even, your ability to flush the toilet paper depends on good plumbing, a water source that's being pumped into your city, into your homes, into your bathrooms, and the ability to wipe, 1-ply, 2-ply, it doesn't matter. The ability to keep yourself clean is your ability to stay healthy. And I think a lot of times we take that for granted. And we're always talking about, when the shit hits the fan, when things go south, just like this pandemic where people made a bum rush for the toilet paper and then a bum rush for the paper towels, it was an eye-opener for me because it kind of points out where we keep our value when all else fails. If we know something bad's coming, that's what we stocked up on, was toilet paper. I even wonder if it was more bought out than water. I mean, we sold a lot of water, it was a lot of toilet paper. And I think every time the toilet paper was gone first. So that kind of, and I think they were gouging the prices too. As it kept selling out, they started raising the price. And it didn't take much. I think that's the one point that I always try to bring up when we're talking about this type of stuff is it didn't take much for things to start breaking down. A little bit of panic, a little bit of fear brought us to our knees, or at least down to our asses where we sat down. That's where we felt it. That's where we felt the pressure was to get more toilet paper, to stock up on toilet paper. And how important it was, if you didn't have it, for someone to give you a roll. I remember we were getting emergency funds from our village and from the district, and part of it we used to buy, I think, like a pallet of toilet paper, and we distributed it amongst the families. That was a staple. That we did vegetables, we did I think it was laundry soap, we did dish soap, we did hand soap, and there was most definitely toilet paper. So, I don't know what I guess it's like, I always want people to take away from this something to think about that maybe might, in a normal day, slip your mind. How important things are. And how much value we put it on there, and it kind of varies depending on where we're at. Like Sky, like you were saying, when you didn't have much money, you went to the dollar store, and that's where you got your toilet paper. Maybe now when you're making the big bucks, you're going to a big store like freaking Costco, and you're getting the big package instead of one roll at a time. And then say a pandemic happens again, or maybe you're in the hurricane zone, tornado land, and something comes through and just wipes out your neighborhood. There are going to be very few items that you require more than toilet paper. More or less, the value of water, sanitary water, or as they call it, potable water. Like, I was fearful of the day, and it was kind of brought up by that whole scene on Contagion where there was trash everywhere in the streets. Think about if our plumbing stopped. Like, it's a luxury, and we don't see it that way. Like, what kind of blows my mind is, like, when we talk about droughts and there's limited water, that's not just about drinking. That's about plumbing. Your ability to shower, your ability to flush. And for those people who were throwing the toilet paper in the corner because they didn't have the plumbing regulations or whatever, their plumbing wasn't so well, the infrastructure of their community was so bad that their plumbing couldn't handle a couple, wads of toilet paper from every person. And so they got trained to throw their toilet paper in the corner, or at least in their country, in the trash in the corner, in every stall. So it's like things to think about, where we place our value at what times. And that was kind of a scary realization for me when we start talking about drought. I went to California, and a very simple thing that I didn't recognize really well, they were in the middle of a drought. I think they still are. We all are, really, if we really get down to it. As we're in Arizona, we rely heavily on Colorado water. So does California, so does Nevada. And with all these huge cities that are continuously growing, they're taking resources from one place, and that place is getting depleted. And sometimes I don't think we really realize how close we are to the breaking point from day to day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like I want to say the not useful, like useful is not the word. Like if we're always going to be needing toilet paper, then it's like it's never going to be enough.
Yeah.
But I guess my question is, for the sake of humanity or Earth, like, are you willing to try another method other than toilet paper? Because, I mean, if that's all we know, that's how it's going to go. But, like, we also talk about, like, I guess making drastic changes. So, like, I guess, or you're talking about there's no new advances, like, no.
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward. Mashed up and dried tree pulp, paper products.
Compost, just
yeah.
Go on to the wilderness.
I remember we just did that camping episode, and when we went, toilet paper was a key thing to have. Because, we were lucky enough, we were in a place where they had bathrooms. We didn't have to provide our own. At one point I did try to, like, dig a hole for my son until we realized the bathrooms were available. But even then, it was like a couple of times I went in there was no toilet paper. And luckily we brought some. One of us had the foresight, like, hey, just in case, we're probably going to need some toilet paper. We're going to be out, just out where maybe a bathroom isn't an option. And I had to get creative real quick when it came time for my son to use the bathroom. And again, like what I was about to say about California was we were at a restaurant, and like we were used to automatically being brought water. And then they're like, and we asked, like, hey, is anybody going to bring us water? And they're like, well, we're in a drought, and we prefer you ask for it if you want it, but we're not going to bring it to you automatically. And it was just a simple thing where we just expected it. We were used to it.
Yeah.
So it's like, where's the water? And they're like, you must not be from here. We're not going to bring it to you unless you request it.
I remember there was a point in Tucson where it was like, it was sort of like inhumane if you didn't ask, you know, like, or like even if somebody wasn't buying anything, you kind of still had to offer them water.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess at the time, you know, I don't know. I see arguments of like how we treat people or how we treat each other than this how we're treating the planet or how we're I don't want to say taking advantage of the resources, but like kind of, yeah. But it's quality stuff, you know. But yeah, it's a weird place to be because I mean you're talking about camping too and like
yeah, by choice, going out into the wild.
But yeah, but like if you're out and about, you can do your business out there too. And,
yeah.
And it not be in a luxurious, you know, throne. Yeah, I remember this one time. I think it was in the mall bathroom, and you know, and there's a lot of stalls in some of their bathrooms. There's like everybody doing their shit, and this guy just out of nowhere just said courtesy flush, and he flushed his toilet, and it was, I don't know, it's just classic because I never heard it phrased that way. But then when as soon as he said it, I got it because it kind of going back to when we first started talking about, you know, we're trying to be hush hush about it, or I guess for me, I mean. I know we got on TMI already, but like
yeah, we're beyond that.
In my head, when I'm laying it down, you know, it's I'm almost like, damn, this shit, my shit stinks. Like they're gonna smell this. It's like so. I'm about like my shit is so stinky, like it's gonna go through these. It's gonna go on the outside. And so like the courtesy flush was like to kind of send away, like the first load of the. Of the session or whatever, you know. So yeah, I learned that when I guess that's what you call that flush. You're still going, but you know you.
As a courtesy, yeah.
Yeah, and then even too with the talking about the pipes and the system, the water system, and how strong your pressure is, you know. and the seat you're using might not take. Might need to be chopped down, and you might need 3 flushes. We'll just want to make sure evenly distributed.
Yeah.
Oh man. This is off topic, but it's still related. There's this big slide in South Comlick, and we're out there, and there's these kids that are climbing in and riding down, and the kids, they started to go the other way. They wanted to go up. And it got to the point where they were just kind of just hanging out, and yet people were kids were still wanting to go down on the slide, but this one boy was just sort of clogging the drain. And so we're like, man, slide down, you're clogging the drain. And I think that's what the courtesy flush kind of avoids. But in my head also, where it's maybe getting rid of the smell too. But I think it must be all in my head. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the smell factor that the courtesy flush is taking care of.
Yeah.
On that note, too, when you were talking about your equipment, working in the big hardware store, there was an entire aisle of toilets, and I always found it funny. Like, I always kind of laughed to myself that, like, on the sides of the boxes of like the toilets, some of the pictures would show like the toilets full of golf balls. And it's like, oh, it's so powerful. You could just get rid of 10, 15 golf balls. And I'm like, whoa, damn. Wow, that's powerful. I gotta get it. That's my selling point right there. I want to be shitting golf balls, and I want to be able to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Nice.
Crazy.
Oof. I never seen that, but
yeah, it's out there. Take a look. Yeah.
I'm like lost in. Are we talking about toilet paper, or are we talking about shit?
Or water. Yeah, it's all connected, man.
Where do we do it? We're all right.
A word on gut health. Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anybody's. Maybe we've probably done that. But like caffeine, reading like caffeine, kind of creates. Caffeine, like it kind of creates poop.
Huh? Well, the urge, yeah. Stimulates the urge.
So, yeah. I don't know.
Are you at a loss for words here?
No, the first thing I think of is coffee. Like, I love coffee, but then...
You're drinking some right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. But it wasn't something I was thinking about, but now that we're talking about all this, and like... Yeah, the body is a interesting instrument. You kind of gotta keep it clean as a whistle, or have the right utensils to not clog it up, I guess.
Yeah. So, I got one more little tidbit I want to talk about. Well, two. I got two, but we might not touch on the second one. Number two, number one, number two. No. I'm thinking about now. If you think about where we're at now, like our mindset. Like we're not really out of the woods, but think where we were two years ago, or let's say 2019, and how desperate people had gotten to get toilet paper. Like how, like I said, some people would buy a bunch and then share it, and like how grateful you'd be to receive some. Because at one point you couldn't find it at the store, so when you found out somebody had some, it was like, hook it up the roll, give me a roll. And I feel like at some point the demand dropped off. I think it was where people realized, it's not so bad, or we're through the thick of it. You know, we're through the pandemic. We're coming out the other side now. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And we've relaxed. And now there's plenty of toilet paper on the shelves. I was kind of blowing my mind. Like, there was a point where at my work where we were all still kind of mandated to wear masks. And then at one point I was like, all right, we're free to, we have the choice now. It was like, we have the choice now. Some people kept wearing them. But I was ready, like I work in the kitchen, so it was like really hot. And I was completely happy to take my mask off, despite the fact that I was basically opening myself up to attack and, you know, possible sickness, possible COVID infection. And it was almost like I work at the casino, and it was almost like the casino just decided one day, it doesn't exist anymore. COVID's over. There's no more COVID. Like there was a point where I think they got sick of paying people's leave, like being guaranteed by the CDC regulations of 14 days off away from people while you're still infectious. I think a lot of people took advantage of that. So at some point the casino got sick of it and said, all right, we're no longer doing the paid leave. It started out like that. We're no longer doing paid leave, but if you have to leave, you can. You still can, but 2 weeks. And that's 2 weeks without pay. And then it became, all right, only 1 week. And I remember I did get COVID. We both did. We did an episode on it. And I brought up that they said they were expecting me back on a date. And I said, well, what the hell? What if I'm still testing positive at that time? They're like, oh, we'll just wear a mask. And it pissed me off so much because I was like, that's probably how I got it in the first place. Somebody was told to come back, and they still were infectious, and then I caught it. You know?
Yeah.
And you don't talk about it. Nobody's talking about it. It's basically a medical condition, and you're not legally allowed to talk about other people's medical conditions. So there was people around us that were still sick, and we didn't know it. We weren't aware of it, and then I got sick. And So with all that in mind, I'm saying at some point the casino basically declared, there's no more pandemic. There's no more COVID. We're no longer doing this. We're no longer allowing people to take time off. And if they do, they need a doctor's note now. Like they were making it as difficult as they could for people to leave because so many people were leaving. So many people were calling out, I got COVID. So we were kind of joking around like, it's okay, guys. The casino says the COVID doesn't exist anymore, so it doesn't. Like, we're good now. We're all good. We're all safe now because the casino says so, you know. So we were joking about it.
Yeah.
And but just like that, like across the country, it was suddenly like, COVID's not there. I mean, every day I'm still hearing there's variants, you know. It's going back to the original. There's some new one out. It's extra virulent. It's really easy, really contagious, and it could spread and be the whole second coming. So, like, with that in mind, I kind of posed the question to everybody who's listening, if you're still with us, if you haven't crapped out, you know, is it really over? Think about how you feel about your supply of toilet paper. Like right now, I know I'm down to the last package within a package. I got a good paycheck, so I bought a big pack. And I had it in my closet, and little by little I'd bring a little more out. You know, I'd have some guests, they'll go a little faster, whatever. But then I got down to the last pack, which is like a 4-pack of rolls. from the huge pack. There was a little one in there, and that's under my sink right now. I'm already getting into it. I've probably got 2 more rolls in there, but I'm not panicked. Even when I put the last package under my sink, I wasn't panicked like, oh God, I gotta get some more. I was like, well, next paycheck I'll get some, maybe. You know? The mindset that I'm carrying now is that the pandemic is over, the rush on toilet paper is over, and there'll be plenty. There's enough for all of us that I could go when I'm ready, good and ready, to get some more. Now I want us to all think about that. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, do you think you function better not worrying about it, or
good question.
Are you more, I guess, are you better off being alert when you're thinking about, you know, where your next toilet paper is coming from, you know?
I like how you put that. Some people put the word where your next meal is coming from. And now we're saying where your next toilet paper is coming from. In general, I'm of the mindset that worrying is a waste of time. It doesn't mean I don't worry. I worry all the time. All the time. I'm wasting my time all the time. But I feel like standing around worrying is a waste of time. And I'm of the understanding that I learned in a psychology class a long time ago, and it stuck with me, was that worrying about stuff, having the mindset of worrying, it creates physical manifestations in your body where you're, like, if you worry so much, or if you have, like, bad feelings about you, if you're depressed, it creates acids and free radicals that, like, your body, your organs, they start releasing it, and it makes you susceptible to becoming sick. It could make you sick, and it could, you know, alter your body chemistry. So my thinking about it is to spend more time than needed, than is necessary. The amount of time you waste worrying is equal to the chance that you could become sick. It's equal to your health. The amount of time you choose to spend on worrying affects your health in an almost direct, what's the word? I want to say proportion. And a very direct proportion to how much time you spend worrying about stuff like that. Now, having said that, through this conversation, I'm like, you know, in general, I think it might be a good rule of thumb to keep at least a big package's worth of toilet paper around, just in case. So right now, I'm at the level where I shouldn't ever be. I'm thinking once that giant package of toilet paper gets down to half, I should probably re-up. Whether there's a bum rush on toilet paper or not, I'm actually thinking now that it's probably a good rule of thumb to keep some around, just in case. For the very same reason that we all panicked and hit the shelves when something bad came along. And I feel like it doesn't have to be a pandemic. We've mentioned this on the podcast before, how often I think about like how Brazil got hit by like a solar flare and got wiped out, like a lot of their technology got wiped out, and that they're still recovering from it. And how easily that could have been us. Anywhere in the world. It could have happened to anybody, not just Brazil. Now, how quickly we recover from it changes per country, per infrastructure, however you want to see it. But I'm thinking now that we're talking about it, that maybe keeping some toilet paper on the shelf, more than just what you need, would be a good idea. Just in case. How about that?
I don't know. It's like I don't know. Like you spend all this time putting together all this collection of toilet paper, and then you might not get to use all that toilet paper.
Huh. Like the expression worth its weight in gold. I think that was very much true when the pandemic was in full swing. People were hurting for toilet paper.
Yeah, and then what was kind of silly about all of that too was I think maybe in a few places it got sold out, but then just the news blowing it up. Everybody actually went out and bought more toilet paper.
Yeah.
To the point where
made it. Yeah.
Like stores did their numbers wrong, and they were in order enough, but they weren't planning for people to be buying.
Yeah.
An excessive amount.
Yeah.
But then you think it too, like when we're talking about money and the value of what we wipe our ass with, but like it's kind of like I can afford to buy this amount of toilet paper in this time, you know? It's kind of scary, like, I mean, not scary, like, just, like, we talk about, like, being animalistic, like, in a time like now, like, the animals aren't, like, gathering enough shit to wipe their asses. It's just kind of like, but like us humans and being corporate and greedy and look at all this toilet paper we're buying, you know.
Yeah.
Like how much money we're putting into our ass, you know, into wiping our ass with, you know. It's useless, but then it's not, you know, because, like you said, we kind of got accustomed to,
it's an overlooked luxury. The ability to wipe your ass. And like this is really why this is the subject I wanted to talk about. Like I thought about it. It kind of popped up in weird scenarios where it was on my mind. And when you asked me, hey, what's the subject? Right away I was like, hey, toilet paper. I want to talk about toilet paper. And I see this as a subject that, you know, when people are going to read the front page of this episode when it comes out, they're going to go, toilet paper? Like, oh, that's silly. That's probably not something I want to listen to. You know? I'm fine with that, but like, I saw it as a good subject because, yeah, that's the way we see it. That's the way we, you know how our friend was afraid to be seen with his giant thing of toilet paper?
Yeah.
But he still walked out with it because he needed it. Or at least we believe we need it, you know? I got mad at my friend because he was wasting some by blowing his nose. Like, there's so much more that's going on here than we like to think about, that we admit to ourselves and the people around us. Like we all take, from time to time, I'll put that caveat there, loud shits, but still, you want to shit by yourself in the bathroom if it's a public bathroom, and if other people are in there, you're trying to do it quietly, even though we all know what's going on, you know? It's a very common thing while at the same time it's very complicated. And that's the type of subjects I like talking about. So that's why we're talking about toilet paper. It's just something that came up. You asked, hey, what's the subject? And I knew we were going to talk about this at some point. And here we are.
Yeah.
And that's why this subject is important. This is why we're talking about it. It's very interrelated and integral to society. And like I said, civilization. It's the ability of sanitation. It's the importance of infrastructure. And it's a very simple product. It's paper. It's mashed up, crushed up trees. Like that's another thing to think about. There are so many asses in the world getting wiped, and only so many trees. You know, it's got to come from somewhere. You know, we're always talking about the rainforest being cut down, but God help you if you run out of toilet paper. You know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that people don't really think about or talk about until something bad happens, like a pandemic. And just like I said, I'm not worried about getting another roll immediately or a whole new package. I'm down to my last package under the sink, and I'm not worried. Like, think about that, the mindset that it takes to not be worried because of abundance. The abundance affects us so much. Like, during the pandemic, it's like it was very rare. It became a priceless commodity.
Yeah.
It became a priceless commodity.
Oh, there was a...
Like, yeah.
I remember going in to try to do a grocery run and coming back with no tissues. Or the Clorox wipes too. It's like I was...
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know if I was going to come back with what I was supposed to go for.
Yeah.
So there's still that kind of like, we might not get what we need, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And I'm thinking like, hey, you're relaxed now. I'm relaxed. I'm so relaxed. I'm down to my last package and I'm not freaking out. In the back of my mind, I'm like, well, if I'm going to have guests using my toilet, I'm going to need some toilet paper. More than what I need for just myself. And still, I'm not panicked. I'm not freaking out. Because in the back of my mind, it seemed like this pre-pandemic, like it was so abundant I didn't have to worry about it. When I realized what was going on at work, when I was at the hardware store, it was like, whoa. This is the last thing I thought would fly off the shelf, but it did, and it got so bad we had to limit quantities, and people were fighting over it, and people, I wouldn't even be surprised if somewhere out of the entire U.S. or the world somebody died for it. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody accidentally or on purpose died for toilet paper. That sounds silly, but I would bet money that somebody has.
Oh, yeah.
Either now or some other time. So, yeah. Wrap your mind.
Remember Costco? Well, Costco, they had like their water for like certain times. It would be like you only get one package, two packages.
Yeah.
Like you have a limit on certain times.
Yeah. We're dealing with inflation right now. How much, like, $20 will get you in toilet paper? Something as simple as, it seems as simple as toilet paper. Or cleaning products. Or eggs. Something as simple as eggs. Milk. The prices have skyrocketed. Doubled, tripled, quadrupled. That's what I'm getting at. Maybe a supply of water, a supply of toilet paper, and whatever else, medicine, whatever you deemed necessary in a post, I don't know, some people say the apocalypse. It doesn't necessarily have to be the apocalypse. It could be just a little bit of fear that gets everybody concerned, and then there's a bum rush on products. And the stores, they're used to not needing to supply that level of product. They're used to supplying what they're used to. From day to day, week to week, they order what they think they need based off of previous sales. But when something changes, boom, the pressure's on, the shelves are empty, and the fear and panic takes hold of people in general, and society breaks down. And embroiled in the center of it was toilet paper. Toilet paper was in the center of all that. A pandemic.
Yeah. The downfall of man is toilet paper.
one of them, yeah, one part of it, absolutely. So, anyway, I think I'm done. I think I've said enough. Unless you got more to say.
No, just white good.
keep your shitty fingers out of my eyes.
Cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do your thing.
Do your thing. Wash your hands, please. People who are handling my food, please wash your hands. I'm a cook. I already said I work in the kitchen. I'm a cook. And I make a point to change gloves and wash my hands as often as possible to make sure I'm not getting people sick. Because there's a responsibility on my head to do the right thing by people who are buying our food, who are eating my food. And I would hope that the people who are feeding me have an equal feeling of responsibility towards society, or however you want to put that.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, man. This is an interesting one.
Yeah, I agree. Cool.
It's a weird one.
All right. Do you have any final words to say on toilet paper?
I guess if there's no toilet paper, what will you do to clean your butt?
Thank you.
That's what I want to end on.
Thank you. We're going to end on that. Everybody, thank you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with it if you don't got toilet paper? Think on that. You know, if there's anything to take away from this, what are you going to do without it? All right. So, everybody who's listening, thank you for tuning in to the Natives in America podcast. This is your host, Benjamin Juan, and with me is always Sky Anton. And you're finding us here at the Reservation Radio Network. Peace.